If I ever start talking about one player, I just end up by saying they're the best player in the world, basically. That's the only way it can go for me.
Hello and welcome to The Agenda. I am here with Sean Bradbury after Liverpool continued their Premier League winning run. 2 wins out of 2. 2-1 win against Southampton down on the South Coast against St.Mary's. As this is The Agenda, we're going to pick up on one specific topic which we thought might be a talking point around the game, and today that's going to be Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Obviously, he played against Chelsea in the Super Cup where he started on the left wing and, struggled in the first 45 minutes really to get into the game, and understandably really because that's not his natural position. He obviously came back into the midfield against Southampton and produced an excellent performance. Sean, I know you obviously couldn't see the games on a stream, but you're in here and following the live blog ferociously. What did you think of him and what did you make of it all?
Yeah, it's been an interesting one for him, the start of this season. I guess if you look back to pre-season in the summer, he was one of those ones that Klopp had deemed a new signing, which I know this kind of raised a bit of ire in some parts of the fan base because it's a phrase that goes either way, doesn't it? There was obviously lots of questions about Liverpool's lack of spending, but then I think if you look at him and Brewster, and I remember at the time Josh Williams did a piece for us saying it is justified for Klopp to say these two are like new signings because last season they only had 24 senior minutes between them, which I actually think they were all Oxes, weren't they? Brewster hadn't even featured. And yeah, it's interesting with Ox because when he signed, you look back to 2017 and 35 million for him on deadline day. I think a lot of fans were initially a bit confused as to how this guy fits into the team. Is he even that good? Because at times his numbers weren't brilliant for Arsenal, and you kind of think if Arsenal are willing to let a midfield or like an attacking talent go, is there that much scope for him to perform well elsewhere? But then over the course of that first season, when he played 30 odd games, got a few goals, and got 3 goals, 7 assists in the league, he became just an absolute key part of the team, key part of the midfield. And then maybe there's an ever so slight danger of it going a little bit too far the other way because then you miss him for a whole season. And Liverpool obviously had a fantastic season without him in the main last year, but then there's that huge level of excitement again about seeing him and seeing what he can do. But then to bring it back to this season, I think Klopp's managed him and his injury situation pretty well, really, because saw some decent snippets of him over pre-season and he featured in quite a few of the games. But, as every player did, he got a 45-minute run out, maybe an hour here and there. But then I think he had 11 minutes, didn't he, in the Community Shield. Yeah. Obviously, he had the half against Chelsea. And we'll come on to that, kind of what went wrong there. But yeah, yesterday, from what I've seen and from what you guys wrote after the game, it was very encouraging. And it now feels like it's Connor's, spoiler alert here, but Connor's got a piece that's just about to go on the Echo website about Liverpool's midfield options. And it does feel like Keita on the left and Ox in that position on the right of the three. You've got two really strong options to kind of change it up and someone who can progress with the ball, run with it, look for that little pass into the front three that maybe Fabinho, Henderson, Milner and Wijnaldum, that there's so much about their game that's fantastic, but that might not be their kind of natural instinct, that little bit more attacking, aggressive style of play. And now we've got, as I say, one on one side they can do it really well, and Ox on the other side they can do it really well. So yeah, I think he's been managed well at the start of the season, and building on that performance yesterday, I think we'll start to see a lot more from him.
Yeah, certainly. I couldn't really agree more, to be honest. I think particularly yesterday, what was evident, obviously, Liverpool fans and us journalists, there's been questions over who's going to provide that link between the midfield, the defence, the attack, who is that transition. And Ox can do that. We know he can. Some of his Champions League performances, against City and stuff like that, he was just sublime, wasn't he? And that was the player that we come to know, come to love, and that is, showing that yesterday. I think what you can take from the 11 minutes Community Shield, what you can take from that 45 minutes against Chelsea is great management from Klopp, essentially, because that's given him game time, that's putting the bits in his legs and getting him up to ready for the intensity of the Premier League and against top Premier League opposition as well, of course. And yeah, he really took on that position well. And as I say, and as I sort of said after the game, he was kind of the one where he made Liverpool's performance tick. It was a really difficult day down on the South Coast against Southampton. They were really well organised. They looked to play Liverpool on the counter-attack, but he was one of the ones where he was tracking back, he was picking the ball up, getting his head up, looking forward, playing intricate passes with the front three, and just a little bit more of that. And obviously it's not going to be his most outstanding performance ever this season, but it's just showing that this is what he can do. Just a reminder again of this is what maybe we've been missing, maybe what we've been crying out for, and a bit of a justification really of why they didn't make any signings in that midfield.
Absolutely, and like you say, kind of being down there on the South Coast, it's a big psychological thing for him to go to his old club and do that. What kind of reception did he get yesterday? I didn't actually pick
Yeah,
up
it was okay to be fair. He was all right. Manny was all right. Van Dijk got a few jeers and boos, but it's kind of a little bit to be expected because he's the best defender in the world, which they've lost.
Well, this is it. But yeah, going back to Ox, I think it almost represents the next stage in what you could see as Liverpool's tactical evolution. Obviously, we had those early years under Klopp where it was all a bit manic, and you think that game, it was the 5-4 against, was it Norwich, where he broke his specs. That one always stood out to me as like, I know that was a bit of a one-off and a mad scoreline, but kind of
just
lots of
carnage.
And those kind of patterns of play where everyone was just pressing in little packs, and it kind of wasn't as structured or as organised as it became. And then you look at last season, and essentially the defence started being able to win games Liverpool could eventually kind of, after years of maybe not being able to do this, probably since Rafa's days, they could sit on a lead and win a game 1-0, 2-0, like scorelines you didn't really see under Klopp early on. But now I suppose that next stage, and maybe what we've already started to see this season, is pressing that high line from the back and maybe starting to look a little bit more like City. And in terms of the midfield, like we've already said about Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain, adding more attacking options rather than having those kind of workman-like three who allow the fullbacks to push on. It's, can you sneak another one in there who's maybe more in the Keita or the Oxlade-Chamberlain mould? So like we said already, we play 4 games. The rest of the league, pretty much apart from I guess City and Chelsea, have played 2, and I think there'll be plenty more opportunities, especially against maybe the bottom half of the table teams, especially at home as well, where we want Liverpool to be on the front foot, where we're going to see Ox and or Keita. So I just can't wait to see him start again.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And it's interesting what you said there, really, just in terms of the midfield. If they're a slightly more attacking midfield rather than the workman, like it kind of allows the midfield to push on rather than it always being reliant on the defence. And I think that actually showed a little bit yesterday. Robertson defended really well in the second half, but it was actually, whereas Ox was on the right and it was Milner working on the left, it allowed Robertson to get forward, and he had a really good shot saved, actually. He probably could have scored.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That had gone in.
Would have been a sensational goal, wouldn't it? But that's what I mean. So you've got Ox on the right, and Trent isn't quite pushing us forward as much as Robertson perhaps it might have been doing. So you just kind of have that balance in the teams, and it's just given different options all the time. And what I would see of it as like having Ox now as an option, allowing him to come in, and Keita possibly later after he come back from injury, it just gives Klopp a totally free rein to just pick whoever he wants. How can teams prepare to face Liverpool if Klopp probably doesn't even know himself which midfield he's going to pick?
Yeah, absolutely. And he does give us such a great option, and I guess he could even play maybe not on that position in the front three on the left that we saw against Chelsea. Klopp himself after that game admitted that was a bit of an error, and it was more about giving Ox game time. He just wanted to kind of unleash him and see what he could do. But I remember when he signed for Liverpool, Klopp was saying he's kind of an unpredictable player. He'll take a risk. He's really positive, and maybe now it's time to show that from either, like you say, an advanced midfield position, maybe even wide on the right. You could give a bit of cover for Salah, maybe in that respect, and offer a different option who could go outside, but he's obviously got the pace as well. So it's just going to be exciting. I guess one of the last things to work out is, are we allowed to call him Ox? Because Joe Rimmer, who I'm sure you all know, has very strong feeling about this, doesn't he? It's Oxlade-Chamberlain only.
Oxlade-Chamberlain on no dice for Joe, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. But yeah, it's obviously an exciting time for Liverpool, particularly going forward. And next up is Arsenal, which again is Oxlade-Chamberlain's old club. And are you going to expect him to feature, or do you think just the attacking talent of Arsenal this year it's a force to be reckoned with, really? They've signed Nicolas Pepe, who was second top scorer in Ligue 1 last year, behind only Mbappe. They've obviously got Aubameyang, they've got Lacazette. They're a pretty serious attacking unit, and you've got to think that maybe Liverpool might look to play a little bit more of that workman-like midfield just to soak up that pressure, but I don't know if you'll see him at all.
It's hard to say, isn't it? I think Keita was due a start in the last couple of games. Obviously the injuries maybe has put pace.
We all
that.
had him down starting for Chelsea, didn't we?
100%. So I guess if you're gonna, Liverpool are at home, aren't they? So there's a good argument to play it. I think if you played perhaps Fabinho, Ox, and another of the grafters, maybe Wijnaldum, then I wouldn't mind seeing that from the start. But then, like you say, the temptation to go Henderson, Fabinho +1, either Milner or Wijnaldum in the position on the left will be strong, especially when I know the fullbacks have been chopping and changing a bit, but you would imagine both Trent and Robertson start there, so they can provide that impetus. Maybe then, on balance, it would be a case for me of having Ox as the option to come on and change it if it's a tight game or if it's level after, say, 60. But yeah, maybe from the outset, see what the fullbacks can do and play the more kind of established midfield three. But I think he's certainly got a part to play, even if it's from the bench.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that's an interesting point, isn't it, really, that, Klopp does definitely have the option to bring Oxlade-Chamberlain on if he wants to, 60 minutes, 70 minutes, however long he might think that he's ready for or wants to give him. And I think he's already shown this season, in the Community Shield, Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Lallana came on into the midfield, and there is options. And in all 4 of the games Liverpool played so far, there has been 4 different midfield combinations at some point during the game. And so it may not necessarily matter if Oxlade-Chamberlain starts. It may not necessarily matter who starts the game, because there is an option to tweak it, and there is an option to bring in different players or offer a little bit something different, bit of versatility here and there. And yeah, obviously that is just a really good thing going forward.
No, absolutely. Well, that'll probably be it for us. That is the agenda. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, plenty to be excited about, and plenty more to come from him this season. Fingers crossed.